I was going to turn our recording
Welcome.
on. Yeah, I was
Welcome
just hitting
again,
the.
Walter. Nice to see you.
It's been a little while, so thanks for joining us here.
It's been a minute, eh?
Sure,
Yeah.
I know. I don't think
Sorry.
we didn't have last. Well, life happens. Life happens.
I
It's
won't.
really life and business. Work happens. It is the nature of the game, right? In the industry is we can't always be,
Right.
available for different
You know,
reasons.
I think too, it was our last one that we were going to do was August, and you know what? That's really close to Labor Day weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But I am here. I'm not going
Yeah.
to be back. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Hopefully, the ones that do miss it, you are able to catch it. Where can they find it? I know
Okay.
it's on Facebook, but maybe yeah.
Yeah, so it is on our training website, and I'll actually put it in the chat here for everyone.
Okay.
So when you go to so a lot of people don't even know our training website exists, but some do. But it's training.agentlocator.ca. Let's see if I spelled that correctly. That one there is a webinar replay. So any webinar that Agent Locator does hold, you can always find the replays on there. They're always there. So
Okay.
and typically they're either listed up there the same day, just depends on our marketing team and what's on their plate that moment. At the very latest, the following day, it is on there because we know a lot of business sometimes pulls us away from the things that we want to do the things
Yeah,
that we have to do, right? So
of course.
it's inevitable. So there is a good question actually, because now that we were just kind of briefly talking, and I did send you that email on different topics and what have you. And again, you guys,
Yeah.
feel free to chime in if you have any specific questions.
Please,
Yeah,
please.
so
Helps
Tara's
us.
been at this for years. She's, ran teams, managed brokerages, helped navigate leads coaching and things like that. So any questions that do pop up, by all means, put them in the chat. If you want to chat, just raise your hand. We'll give you that ability to talk.
Yeah, you can walk with us. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
do it.
Now, one of the things that you're transitioning through right now is you've switched brokerages not too long ago, and that's a huge transition for a lot of people. And I'm sure some of you may have already done that in your parts of your career. And on another webinar that we have with one of our, coaches, one of the questions that came up was from a seller's perspective, saying that, I think I want to go with a bigger brokerage because they're going to give us more exposure, right? So we're seeing more and more boutique brokerages pop up
Yeah.
all over the place, all over the country. And I'm sure that's something that, and some of us choose. They want to be part of those boutique brokerages because it's more family knit, it's smaller, they feel like they're more part of a community. So with an objection like that from a seller where they're like, hey, maybe you're just a little boutique and you're going against the number one brokerage, essentially, or company, nationwide, let's say, how would you handle that kind of an objection from a seller on a listing appointment when they're telling you, you know what, we're going to go with so-and-so because they go with this brokerage ABC, which we feel like, they're going to give us more exposure?
I think, it's our job when we're on any appointment to really educate our potential clients on where the exposure actually lays, where it lies. We know that the most of the exposure that we can possibly ever give any of our listing clients, any client, is the internet. It's realtor.ca, it's the public sites. We all know this. And I think no matter what brokerage you're in, whether it's a really big one or a boutique one, I think that you have to sell yourself and your ability to also be part of all of those additional sites, which is what is going to help sell your home. I remember I was with Remax for, I think at this point, about 12 or 13 years. and Keller Williams had just opened up in our community, and the model was very intriguing to a lot of us. And a lot of us transferred from Remax to the Keller Williams model. And I remember sitting in front of one seller, and one seller looked at me, and this was 12 years with Remax, and Remax did amazing at branding and convincing the public their agents were better. I mean, their branding was so on point that coming out of AREA, we all joined Remax, right?
Yeah.
And I remember one seller looking at me, and I think I had about 5 listings at that time, and saying, "I'm not leaving the balloon. I'm not." And, at the end of the day, I only have myself to blame, because clearly that seller didn't really understand that the goods that they were getting was Terra.
Yeah.
Right? So I looked at that as a learning curve. I'm like, okay, so really next time I'm in front of somebody, I have to sell this, not what the company is going to do.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that goes a long way with a lot of practice and being on so many different appointments and just figuring out how to be better each and every time.
Yeah.
I love this world that we're living in now, when we can go to a listing and know that 99% of the people out there really just care about me, and they care about you, Brandon, and you, Christina, what you offer. They're not as focused anymore on, well, what brokerage are you at?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And I think times have changed as well with, the evolution of the internet and how it's expanded. So, back when we had to, our resources were local newspapers, for one, and there wasn't as much competition towards those, the top, brokerage names out there. And then the boutiques were kind of foreign, right? You're like, there might be a handful of, boutique brokerages at the time. But now, reality, you could still very well have people that are just so dedicated to, people are dedicated to certain car brands, regardless if, another company comes up with a way better vehicle. They're just like, what, this is my go-to vehicle. It's safe, it's reliable. I'm not changing. And some people are, inevitably just like that. But, the internet now, most of us, we're not searching. We're not necessarily, like, I'm sure some people do, but a lot of people don't search for brokerages. They're searching for the real estate itself, right? And we've adapted to that evolution of how we look for things.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So,
hey, listen, I did a deal 3 years ago from Agent Locator, and you know what? They didn't Google search houses for sale in Brighton. They Google searched realtors in Brighton, and sure enough, just the way that my Agent Locator landing page came up, it was that site that they clicked on.
Yeah.
Knowing your own worth, knowing your value when you're in a listing appointment, or even in front of a buyer, it just gets better and better with time. And I think helping the public, especially the older community, when they're really focused, seniors, they're used to newspaper ads, they're used to all of that. Maybe depending on who we're sitting in front of, maybe we got to be a little bit more old school in order to help win that, even though we know it isn't going to work. But we need to. The one thing I've always said, sorry, you can hear banging behind me. I'm sorry. The one thing that I've always said is you have to become the people that you're working with. You have to get to know your audience. And that really makes you an incredibly better realtor going forward. Yes. Right?
Absolutely.
And you know what? I'd love to know what some of your experiences are as well, sitting in front of people. I think it's pretty interesting. Right now, we're dealing with a really tough time. Is the market going to pick up? Is the market going to stay slow? What are you guys doing to kind of get business right now?
Yeah. It's a huge teeter right now. Like, and from my standpoint, talking to different agents and across Canada, some into the States, is it's so different everywhere, and every agent is also so different. Some people are thriving right now. They're doing very well, where others are struggling and they're grasping for that next opportunity. You know, I spoke to one individual where he's like, I'm keeping myself busy, but I'm driving for hours every day just to get the business, which that business is ultimately actually costing me money. I'm not really making a whole lot of money right now. I'm just keeping busy and making sure I'm still having deals happen. So it is very different everywhere, really. But have you guys noticed a flux in your, fluctuation in where your market currently is? Are you finding that people are moving a little bit more willing to have conversations with you or talk about, the home buying process or what their options are? You feel like people are still kind of on the fence, anticipating and watching the news, waiting and waiting and waiting. How are you guys all? And again, you guys can put it in the chat, the Q&A. You can raise your hand if you want to kind of bring in discussion of a scenario. But what are you guys doing to keep busy, and what are you guys finding your market currently like? Are you noticing any changes?
I can tell you right now, I'm seeing a bit of an uptick. I'm seeing, sadly, we've had more than one of our agent locator leads reach out and say that they're a few months behind in mortgage payments. Definitely seeing that. Definitely seeing, I've got 7 listings right now, like my own personal with the team. We did 6 open houses on them last weekend. So 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. We had almost 35 groups of people through. So it was like 34. Wow. And then one person came, but they had an agent. So I'm going to give them a half count.
Yeah.
25. Yeah. And I'm just looking at this going, I'm a big believer in open houses. I'm a big believer that if the seller wants it, I'll do it. I don't care. I'm just showing you how much I'm working. And they've been relatively slow, to be honest. Summer, it's been a little crickets.
Yes.
And last weekend, every single one we did was just boom. That for me, as a longtime realtor, is like, see, that last rate reduction was enough to get people kind of back out again. The one in October, I think, is going to now get people really in the car.
Yeah.
Really in the car. But you know what? The team gets frustrated. Everybody gets frustrated. I was talking to an agent the other week from another brokerage. She was like, I don't want any more listings.
Yeah.
Sitting there, I want buyers, Tara.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, well, then it falls on us to educate or continue to educate the people to know, again, it's not a bad time to buy.
Yeah.
Right? Please. We had here a lunch and learn where we had a mortgage broker come in last week, and it was like 24 hours right after some of the things changed in regards to down payment and so forth. And I'm sitting there listening to this and really understanding what has changed in that 24-hour period and what that potentially can mean for buyers. One thing Kurt said was, sadly, the small little snippet that all the news picks up isn't really that full picture of who this applies to and what it actually means going forward, the 30-year amortization again. There's a lot of restrictions with it. But I'm looking at this because I'm always thinking, how can I express this to a lead? And I'm like, my leads don't know this. No. They don't know that it means this percentage on 500,000 and then 20% on between 500 and 1.5. And they don't know that this is only for first-time home buyers and new builds, right? Yeah. What a perfect opportunity for me to now bring to the leads additional information that the news and CP24 did not say, right? So it's using as many opportunities to kind of just do that little small little tease
Mm-hmm.
going, you know, to our leads to maybe get these people in the car.
Yeah.
And I'll
At least
tell you
get
the
them.
one thing he did say, he said, Tara, he goes, and all the agents that were there, he goes, you need to get these people looking now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the interest rate does go down, they're projecting in the twos about mid next year. He
Mm-hmm.
said like 2.75, maybe. He goes, I think that might be the lowest. The
Yeah.
market's going to change, and then we're all going to be, and they're all going to be in bidding wars again.
Yeah. It's like, it's almost, let's call it the catch-22, but they're waiting, but everyone's waiting, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to jump on that wagon, everything, when everyone else is, there's a good chance you're not going to get a seat, right? So yeah,
And then
it's
they that again. Yeah.
yeah, and then
So
they're back to square one, right? And
where
they
do
missed that window.
we educate our leads? We've got an entire dashboard full of people. How
Mhm.
do we do it in a way that even will get one person in our car?
Yes.
Right?
Hmm.
Maybe now's the time, everybody. Here's a thought. I'm full of information today. Maybe this is a time you do another Zoom, you
Hmm.
know, a mass Zoom for your leads. Ask questions to the mortgage people and bring somebody on. You
Hmm.
know, anything that you do that's going to give information to these people is probably going to solidify one person in your vehicle, at
Yeah.
least,
Hmm.
at least
Yeah.
sooner than later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's getting them excited about buying sooner rather than later, right? The reason why they may want to look at those options now versus waiting to, hit a certain point.
Yeah.
And again, it comes down to, we all kind of know what's going to happen, right? But the consumers are waiting for that perfect little tiny window of opportunity.
Yeah.
And it very seldomly happens because again, we're just going to go into bidding wars as soon as it does happen, right? So it's
Frustrating. Yeah.
it's frustrating for a lot of I'm sure a lot of you guys where you're talking to these people and you're like, come on, like, what's more important, the interest rate or your payment, right? So and that's what a lot of people are focused on, is that rate versus their monthly payment. And stress tests do play a huge factor for us here in Canada. I know it impacted me and my buying capability and buying power. I know I can afford this, but it's a little stress test, says I can't, right?
Exactly.
So and then so it leaves a lot of people, kind of sitting and waiting because they need that rate dropped in order to qualify for what they know they can afford. So there is, though, there's all different scenarios that I'm sure you guys are encountering or the leads are enduring. But again, like as Tara says, as long as we sit there and educate them, at least get them out, get them buying, get them ready to pull that trigger pretty much right away. So if it does drop and they're now in that position, they're already set to go. There's no, I have to get my house ready, or I have to do this, or I have to do that, right? They're already ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think at the end of the day, it becomes, we're here to talk about Google Lead and the conversion, and you have to always take every opportunity to be the person that they now connect that has most of the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as I've always said, all they really care about is getting listings. For sure, that's number one.
Yes.
But if you continue to think of different ways just to be the person that's giving them the answers to the real estate questions, maybe even before they even ask, I really, truly, in my experience, this has got me in the door much quicker than any other agent that's also sending them listings. Because they already think, well, maybe I should ask Tara, or maybe I should ask Draga, or
Exactly.
that I see here.
Yeah.
Because right now you're becoming the source of real estate information. It's not that difficult. It's just a matter of sitting at your desk and going, what do I think they need to know this week? Right? And maybe it's just a paragraph of something, right? We don't give away the farm. We're not going to give away all the info because we need them to reply back to us so we can carry on the conversation. But lead conversion is so much more than just a phone call. It's looking at that database and saying, what do they need from me today? Right?
Yeah.
We're not going to do it every day, but
No.
I would say once a week, maybe even a Friday morning. Maybe it's your
Yeah.
Friday update to your leads.
Yeah.
What's going on? It will make a difference in conversion, because what we're doing is we're building trust. They
Yeah.
don't trust us.
No.
We're like walking in. Listen, I'm walking into car dealerships right now. Like it is a problem, right? Because they come at you and right away, I'm a lead converter, and right away I'm like, oh my God, you're a salesman.
Yeah.
It's too
You're
much,
not. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Think about that. Never
Mhm.
forget, you're building
Mhm.
trust.
Mhm.
Trust, real estate information leads them to your vehicle,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are
Exactly. And they, those types of emails do prompt questions as well, right? And it does build that confidence, so that, like, as you said, they might reach out, they might ask that question, and they're going to feel more comfortable asking those questions because
they
they.
will. They will ask you.
Mhm. Mhm.
I really want everybody to understand, I would not still be investing as much as I invest monthly into Google Leads if this was only a one-time thing.
Mhm.
Lead conversion it's a full-time pillar in my business. So, you're either going to view it as a pillar of your business or you're not. But when you give it your all,
Mhm.
there is 100% a return on your investment.
Yes.
And it
Absolutely.
starts with you. It
Mhm.
really, truly does. And knowing what's going on out in the world, and now being the person that those people in your dashboard are going to count on for answers.
Yes.
Like I told you guys before, when a lead comes in my mind, they're already my client.
Mhm.
I'm not that crazy, like when I'm telling you, nice to see you,
Yeah.
client. But in my mind, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine, Bob. I got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't
Mhm.
get them all. I never
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
But in my mind, they're already working with me.
Mhm.
So when I'm dealing with them, because I'm already thinking it,
Mhm.
it's all about them.
Yes.
How do I get them in the car? Because they're already my client.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Looks like we have a question come
Oh,
in.
sorry, I'm talking.
Yeah, that's all right. Walter is asking, what has worked best for you in attracting buyers and seller leads, Google or Facebook, Instagram?
Okay.
Done.
Can I be real? Can I
Yeah.
be? I don't
Yeah.
do Facebook leads. I tried them once, not with Agent Locator, but I feel like on my own. Um, I do Google buyer leads. To me, when they come in, because the Google leads, when they come in, they can search at homes and look at homes. There's a lot of detail involved with the buyer leads.
Mhm.
I don't think you can go wrong with it. Now,
Mhm.
if somebody in accounting for AL is trying to get you to the Facebook leads, I'm not opposed to everybody giving it a shot. But I think you're going to see a difference between the Google buyer ones and the Facebook leads when they come in, because the Facebook leads are more just filling out a form type
Mhm.
idea. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not a real pro at it. Most of the listings that I get, aside from, my past clients and their referrals,
Mhm.
are Google buyer leads that have houses to sell.
Yeah.
Most of them have houses to sell. So to
Mhm.
me, it's a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're definitely, the buyers, a lot of people like to get the seller leads. Your conversion rate is exactly the same, but you have less leads to work with, right? So, and then a lot of times your seller leads are looking for their value because they're not just looking to, potentially sell, they're looking to refinance, consolidate some loans, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
They're not actually looking from a perspective of selling their house. So you have those leads as well, right? So that come in as a seller lead, so to speak. Facebook leads come at a lower cost per lead right now. The market, we're finding just Google. You know, with everything being slow, everyone's like, how do I get more business? So they've thrown their money into advertising, which essentially has driven the cost per lead up, right? So Facebook is a cheaper alternative. The motivations can be slightly different. Not saying that with a Facebook lead, you're not going to get deals, but you're putting an offer in front of somebody that's attractive. It could be something they're interested in. Doesn't mean they're, you know, going to be looking right away, but not that a Google lead is looking right away either. One of the beneficial things from Facebook is that those forms autofill their contact details, which means that the majority of your leads that come from Facebook, it is valid communication, you know, methods. Is the email their regular day-to-day email that they log into with Facebook? Might not be, right? So they might not even be getting those emails.
Right.
It's going to, you know, we all have, well, I have like 3 different emails, right? So just depends on which one they use and which one's their primary email. But yes, it's really something, you know, some people run both, right? They just kind of running both. It allows you to really determine which lead, and every area is different too, right? So some areas, you know, Facebook leads are very rewarding, and Google is kind of sitting on the back burner, whereas in other areas, Google's the more rewarding one and Facebook's on the back burner kind of thing.
Right.
So it really, you know, it varies quite significantly. So it's kind of one of those things is, you know, give both a go and see in your market area which one's better for you, or even from your standpoint, if you do it, you know, for a few months, you know, which leads are you ended up like having conversations with more, or seem to have more intent to purchase sooner rather than later, if they're just kind of browsing for way down the road or just out of curiosity.
I think the important thing to remember, no matter where you decide to get your lead, is what's your follow-up going to be like after it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one thing for that lead to come into your dashboard, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Google, or whether it's just organic through your website. You know,
Yeah.
what do you do to follow up with that lead, and what is the system that you have? Right. And that's really what's going to make a break. I will tell you, the Facebook leads, what I do like about them, watching other agents do it, is it comes across your feed. I think it's a phenomenal way. Any boosting or advertising, even if you do it on your own, I do it on my own. You know, I'll boost a post, I'll boost this. I think it's a great way to continue to brand yourself. The more your name goes across these feeds, just the more people are going to get to know you. They can type your name in Google as well, because it's now coming to your, you know, their mind, and end up, you know, on your site as well. So
Exactly.
keep it up no matter what. Our social media presence is actually so important today. You know, don't give it up. Okay, we've got another question. I'm sorry. I kind of see something, but I can't.
That's okay. It says, hey, Tara, thanks for all your advices. And for everyone's benefit, my view is Google leads are the highest credibility after 11 months of no conversion. I got 5 deals in July. One of them was a buy-sell transaction.
What? Well,
That's
who
awesome.
is this?
That is Khan Ali, or Ali Khan, whatever it is.
You know what? This is where this discussion ends right here.
Yeah.
Right? This is why I always say the biggest part of lead conversion is our own mindset. You know, it would have been so easy to give up, right? Because all of us want immediate response. We want the deal now.
Yeah.
But guess what? It's not our show. It's the lead show. It's not our timeline. It's theirs. So in July, 5 people got to know this realtor by the way that he was communicating for 11 months and went, we want to use you. That is such a great return on investment.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'm sure you more than tripled, right? Based on the commissions that you got. Thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
It's like a little, like spin the wheel, getting the jackpot. It's
Yep.
all about how you're working those leads, right? So a lot of us, and I see it all the time. I go into systems and there's nothing happening in there. People are like, these people aren't calling me, or they're not doing this, or they're not. I'm like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to encourage them to reach out if they have a question or to call you? We don't know why, and especially, whether it's Facebook or Google, we don't know why these people are looking at listings in the first place. No clue. Some people are just looking for decorating ideas, right? Like,
Oh my
they're
God.
just
Why
looking at
would they
pictures,
lead
right?
with
They
that?
just want to look at the pictures to see how
Right.
these houses and get ideas. Like, we've had that. Like, we've seen the call notes that that's what that person is looking for. Some people, they drive by a cute house that they've been admiring for so long. No intentions to buy it, but they're really curious to see what it looks like on the inside, right? So there's all different scenarios. We all do it. We all go online. We all browse things without an actual immediate intent to buy it,
But
right?
that's
We're just
okay.
yeah.
Because remember what I've always said, it's not always about the lead, it's about who they know. Many,
Mm-hmm.
many deals I have done have been from a lead, but I've never done business with the lead or met the lead, but
Yeah.
the lead still referred me because I'm
Mm-hmm.
still putting them on my drip. I'm still sending them listings, and
Yeah.
whatever the reason, it resonated with them enough to refer me. So you
Yeah.
know what? You want to come on and I'll pay whatever it is, $20 for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay because I look at it this way. Your mom or dad or your brother, sister, your best friend, you're
Yeah.
going to think of
You never
me.
know. Yeah.
Allie, this is amazing. I do remember when I was at my old brokerage talking to you at the Toronto office, and you also had the listing in Coburg. I am thrilled for you. Keep up the good work. I know I shared some of the expertise with you, some of the drips. Keep it up. You're going to make a
Mm-hmm.
lot more money. I guarantee it. I guarantee
Mm-hmm.
it. I'm so excited right now.
Yeah.
This is yeah. Yeah.
It is. And sometimes it's your personality and how you can just, like, if sometimes you speak to these people, right? So and it's remembering that, again, when we're talking to these people, is that we're coming from a place where we're looking out for them. It's all about them. It's not about us. And some of us do forget that because we so anxiously want to make this deal happen because maybe we need it to.
Sure.
But the more that they can recognize and feel like you are authentic in what you're saying to them or what you're offering to them, and understanding and letting them know it's okay. Hey, browse the listings. I'm okay that you're not buying anytime soon, right? They feel more confident with working with you and comfortable talking to you, that they will be more likely to refer you out, even if they're not, planning anything in the near future.
Sure. Sure. I love it. Again, with lead conversion, your mindset is just as important as your pocketbook to buy the leads.
Yes.
That's a quote that we should use publicly from the book of Tara. Starts it I can't stress enough. And yes, guys, do I get down? Do I need a conversion because the mortgage is due or whatever? Of course. But I've
Mhm.
said this multiple times, is if I feel like I'm not getting as much out of my agent locator, I'm always doing a self-check on Terra first. I'm not going to blame the market. I'm not going to blame agent locator. I'm not going to blame, I don't know, I didn't get any sleep last night.
Mhm.
So, I'm just going to sleep all day. That's not how it works. When we're not seeing a lot of productivity, and what I mean by that is, yes, we're in a time right now where buyers aren't looking as much, for sure. I don't look at deals as a success. I look at people who are communicating with me. Am I out every week showing homes? Am I getting listings? Am I still working
Mhm.
enough in the business that it will lead to a deal? But I
Mhm.
know that it starts with Tara
Mhm.
first and foremost. So I feel it. That's when I do a self check. Sometimes I'll look at my drip campaign. I'm always revising it. I'm always tweaking it because a lot of times, too, whatever the methods you're using, maybe now we need to retweak it. right? Maybe now we need
Yeah.
something a little different to be added because
Yeah.
things change.
Exactly.
So try to really say to yourself, okay, this is what I'm investing in financially.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what am I investing in individually?
Exactly.
How am I going to make this work? Going,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not trying to make it work,
Yeah.
going to
Going.
make mind
Exactly.
over matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you guys
Exactly.
can do it. I know you can.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like I've got to go on my dashboard and get somebody in the
Now, for some of us, and again, working in an industry where, or a position generally, where you're self-employed, you don't have, a boss breathing over your neck with deadlines, things like that. What are some, tips or tricks that you kind of do to help keep yourself motivated? Because again, if we're not working and getting deals, we should be, are in front of somebody. We need to be working full time to get ourselves in front of somebody. And that can be, depending on where you're at in your business or how things are going, or you're struggling, can be just like you just kind of make excuses. We procrastinate. We do this, we do that. We find every other reason to
Sure.
do or to blame, as to why we're not, having a deal or having a client work with us right now. So what are some things that you do to help keep yourself motivated in times that, maybe it is a downturn, you don't really have a lot of business happening?
Well, I mean, we're all going to have those times, right? I don't care
Yes.
who you are, you're always going to have ups, highs, and lows in real estate. That's the name of the game. I think after training as many people as I have, I think our reason for getting into real estate needs to be the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get into it thinking it was going to be quick and easy money and we were going to sell, everybody's going to use us, all our friends and family? That's a false way of thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very difficult, we are commission salespeople. There have been times, don't get me wrong. Thankfully, I've always been fairly stable. I've had highs and lows, but I've never been an agent that's had high highs and low lows, right? I've
Mm-hmm.
been that agent that kind of just always stays this way.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the reason for that. It's because it is my mind over matter. It is
Mm-hmm.
because I self-check myself. And quite frankly, I recognize some of the names on here today. Some of you have been part of our journey, Crystal and I, right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of you can answer that question. I will never lose sight of my why. I will do whatever it takes to bring financial assistance to my why. And that's my two children, Andrew
Mm-hmm.
and Austin Baylis. If I didn't have the focus of my why, I probably would have left this business a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it is a lot mentally and it's a lot physically. But that's, Crystal, what keeps me going. I mean, when I had
Mm-hmm.
stage 4 cancer and I didn't know if I was going to be able to work again, I knew that I had to figure this out because I would
Mm-hmm.
never, ever, ever let my children down. Let
Mm-hmm.
me be clear about this. My children don't ask me to do this.
Yeah.
They don't. They're like, Mom, we're good. Right? But
Yeah.
that is what keeps me here in front of you right now. That's what
Mm-hmm.
keeps me in this office. That's what keeps me going to every single appointment I go on.
Mm-hmm.
Is my why is that strong. Everybody's why is different. Some are family, some are not. Some is
Mm-hmm.
trips, some is retirement,
Yeah.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
you gotta stay focused on why you get up every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing,
And
guys.
it's,
Maybe
it's
that's
so and it's
cliche.
so easy to get distracted too, even though you have those whys, right? We all do. It's like, and kind of unrelated but not related, but like going to the gym. We know why we're going to go to the gym. We know what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
And then it still, in some cases, there's distractions. There's other things that happen. So it's keeping ourselves motivated and focused, which can be difficult, right? It's really, self-reflecting on what you're doing to make sure you're still on track for whatever that goal is, or giving your time, or breaking it down into little bite-sized tidbits to maintain what you're doing without losing sight of the ultimate goal.
You know, I think for anybody that's a commission salesperson, I think that their why has to be maybe stronger than somebody else who's employed by a company, and you know, they show up and they get their paycheck.
Yeah.
I've learned that, you know, I think probably, I guess you could say, through the school of hard knocks, right? I've learned that, you know, there are things that you take for granted in life that can be pulled away from you in a heartbeat. You can be excited. This world, nothing is for sure. But what is for sure for me are my 2 children and their families. And that's will continue to motivate me until the day I take my last breath. You know, and I just feel like if anybody kind of needs help in focusing into that, you know, the why, or, you know, whatever it is, really look at some self-help books. There's lots and lots of great coaches out there that can really give you that sort of internal kind of thing to kind of keep you focused. But you'll notice everybody refers to, what is your why?
Yeah.
Right?
Why are you doing this?
So even here at my office, right beside me here is pictures of my kids. Right here on my desk is a picture of my boys and I. Everywhere I work, where I put myself, my why is there. So I'll never lose track or lose focus.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good tip, because everyone's going to have different whys. Why, you know, why they're doing what they're doing to keep themselves motivated. So that's a good tip to have, you know, different things throughout our office or even our vehicle, wherever it is that we find ourselves, or, you know, to kind of maintain that focus, and you're looking at it so that you're not losing sight of it, essentially. And that's a great way that you're literally not losing sight of it, because it's right in front of you all the time.
Yep. Yeah. Now I see, I think Sonia's asking how much I spend on my budget. That's something I don't like talking about, to be honest. Everybody's budget is different. I do spend a fair bit. I don't spend clearly what some agents spend. I have a team of, well, oh my God, there's 5 of us, I think. Okay, again, Crystal, like I feel like I might be getting dementia. But so I do spend a lot because I've got to make sure that the team also has a great number of leads.
Yeah.
What I've always said about lead conversion, it's like buying, trying to win the lottery. You know, if you buy one ticket, unlike that couple that just won the 70 million and first ticket right after the baby, gosh, I'm so happy
set
for
for
them.
life, set for life, right? Like, it's like, those are the good stories. Those are good stories. It's kind of makes you upset when it's somebody that like doesn't need the money.
Yeah,
you know, or you're just kind of like, you're like, really?
Yeah.
But you know, help out the rest of the population that could really benefit from that. Anyway, back on track.
is, you know, when you want to, if you're trying to win the lottery, the more tickets you buy, the better chances you have of winning. So I always look at it the same with the Google leads. At the end of the day, you've got to figure out what your budget is. If your budget can allow you to spend more on your leads, then it is well worth it, because the more leads that come into your dashboard, the more people and the better chances you have of conversion. When you start on the really lower basic plan, where I'm not even sure now what it is that you get, but say you get between 10 and 15 or 10 and 20, whatever the lowest plan is, you know, it's not enough people to create this sort of chances of you converting. So, you know, do what is best for your budget for sure. I do recommend, if you're new to lead conversion, start with the lowest one. Get your feel, get your way, create that amazing drip campaign, or use the ones that Agent Locator have. You can also modify them as well, but create your rhythm and your time blocking, and then start to increase. You don't have to do it all at once. At my previous brokerage, I was teaching the Google how to convert. And I remember one of the new agents, I mean, God bless him. He just wanted business right away. And so he
Yeah.
came in and he goes, okay, Tara, I'm going to join Agent Locator. I'm going to get leads. And I mean, this guy, his first budget was thousands of leads. And
Yeah.
then he came back, he goes, okay, I told them, give me this much. And I'm like, are you insane? Like, you've never, you're 1 month in as a realtor.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, his dashboard blew up, blew
Yeah.
up. He came to me, goes, there's so much. And I'm like, tell them to take it down, work your way up, right? Once you get into that, okay, I've got this. I know exactly what my rhythm is. I know when I'm going to work my leads every day. Then bring it to where you want it to be, and you will never regret it. Because remember, even if they're sitting in your dashboard for even if it's a year, 2,
Yeah.
3 years, they will do business with you one day. The longest lead of mine was 10 years when they were finally ready. So don't look at them and think they're never going to do anything, because trust me, many of them will. They're just not ready yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And one thing to look at, you know, when we're looking at budget and leads, you're also going to look at how many leads you are looking for and what that budget would look like, right? So again, kind of going back and making sure, hey, you can say, well, I want 100 leads a month. Can you manage 100 leads a month effectively? Are you going to be able to, you know, put your systems in place to ensure that you're not just, you know, collecting nuts like a squirrel would and then forgetting where you hid them, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that you are, you know, taking on a number of lead or a lead count that you're actually effectively managing. Otherwise, you're gonna get frustrated with it. You're gonna say, oh, this person already purchased. This person already purchased. Well, what did you do to encourage them to buy with you instead of going through the other guy, right? And it could be very well that they slipped through the cracks because we didn't have systems in place, so we weren't doing what we needed to be doing to effectively make these transactions happen.
And the one thing I can tell you is when you do decide to go for a much higher budget, and I've done it before, I thought to myself 1 year, I'm going to actually go this high. And it was as higher than I've ever done. Well, holy smoke, my phone blew up. There was lead after lead, lead after lead after lead coming in. Like, it's like you turn the faucet on and right. And it sounds really great. But I remember this was about 4 years ago, and I was new to having a team. And I remember my team members going, what is happening? Because they got overwhelmed. And that's where I was like, oh, I gotta turn this, I gotta bring the faucet a lot lower. Right.
Yeah.
Because if you become overwhelmed,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably going to back off.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like
But
grapes in the sink. They flood it, they just disappear. They flood over.
that's the nice thing about Agent Locator is you can gradually bring it up, right?
Yeah.
You can simply reach out and go, hey, can you add another 150 on, you know, and then just work your way. Once your systems are in place, the beautiful thing is you put the drip campaign on, you revise their search, you've got everything set up for them. You can now rock and roll on the road because now you're getting the email notifications. So you can watch them whenever you've got time to open up the email on your phone. You can reply on your phone if they book a showing. The biggest thing is getting in there and getting them all adjusted the way that you want them to be and creating the next plan of actions for them.
Exactly.
And then it actually goes pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
System. Any other questions?
Well, your drips focus on, so did you kind of target the Sabrina's question there? Do you focus on just new leads or the old leads from 2 to 3 years ago? Like, do you follow up with your old leads? You know, with your old leads, I guess, you know, you've got a fair number of leads in your system. Of course, not all of them are active. Not all of them you may have personally communicated with. Do you still kind of go through those older databases of perhaps older leads or inactive leads? And what are you doing to reintroduce yourself, for example, or get them back engaged in the listings in real estate?
Well, the nice thing is, if they're not currently looking, then Google will automatically shut them down to 30 days or every 2 weeks or so forth, right? So
Mhm.
for the really old leads, I make a habit, and it is painstaking, let me tell you, for me, because I've been on the lead system for so long, there's a lot of pages in there. But I really go through them. If they haven't opted out, and they're just maybe only getting an email now once a month, I
Mhm.
will try to reset them up. If, especially the older ones, their price ranges are going to be all off. They're all wonky. So I kind
Mhm.
of put them up to what today's prices are in the price range, and I'll actually add them onto my new drip. I'm always
Mhm.
revising the drip, so even if they had it 2 years ago, it's a little bit different today, just to
Yes.
see if I can get anything out. You know,
Mhm.
it's time blocking.
Yeah.
When I go back and bring it up, that doesn't happen in a day. That can
Mhm.
take me weeks. And maybe I'll just do one page at a time.
Mhm.
But never, never, never forget those old leads, especially putting them back on again.
Yeah.
The people that have been on my system, like the 10 years, the 6 years, the 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, like I have a lot of people that have bought that weren't new leads. They'd been on
Mhm.
for a while.
Mhm.
Some of those people had been replying back to different drips, so we had been in contact. They just weren't ready
Mhm.
yet.
Yeah.
Doing a newsletter as well and doing that
Mhm.
monthly, I think is really, really important, especially for the old ones, because it keeps your name there.
Yeah.
But it's
Exactly.
figuring out your own way. But I think a page a day is doable.
Yeah. And it's really just it's reconnecting as well and seeing where they might be in the process as well. Maybe they did already purchase something. Some of you guys can offer them sold listings, right? And then in some cases they just put their search on hold. But one of the things that I find is kind of when a lead registers, there's a good chance your site is not the only site they registered on, right? So they're getting listings or being potentially contacted by multiple different people. Now, when that lead stops being inactive or stops being active and become inactive, there's a good chance that as well on all those other platforms, they too are also inactive.
Mhm.
So if they decide to jump back and start looking at real estate, you don't want them to get active all over the place. You want them to be active on your site only. So that's where, staying in that constant contact with them, and whether it's a drip or an email that you blast out or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
it's all about keeping yourself top of mind, so that even if they put this on the back burner for the next 5 years, when the time does come that they're ready to re-engage in real estate, you're the person that they're thinking of, not all those other sites. You
And
want them to come active on the listings you're sending.
that's why I always say don't delete. Don't delete. I mean, if they ask you to delete, that's another story, I suppose. But, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they need to see your name in their inbox, whether
Yeah.
it's daily, or whether or not Google's bounced them to once a month. I don't really care. But the longer they see your name in their email box, then the greater chances you have of them using you. And it's happened
Yeah.
to me. It's happened to
Mm-hmm.
me more than once. So, there were people that have called me. One girl, she was on my system for almost 3 years. I recognized the name when she actually did reply back to me out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere. I recognized the name, but she never responded to any of my drip campaigns, never once. In 3 years, she was not on my radar at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
But then I get an email from her. Hey, Tara, it's Kelly. Guess what? I'm ready.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Who
know
is
my
this
radar.
person? Yeah.
And you knew. And when I met her and showed her that condo, she looked at me and said, I always knew it was going to be you, Tara. I just never told you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're
And
not
that's
the only person that has said that to me,
the
right?
power
They've
of
old
what
leads.
you do is huge. It's huge. And we don't even
Exactly.
recognize it, right? It's
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
the power of the email drip campaign. I don't call my leads like once a week. I call them when
Mm-hmm.
I see them on my notifications, and then I'll say, okay, so and so, I think so and so might
Yeah.
need to Tara.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the power of the email drip campaign, the power of the listings combined
Mm-hmm.
actually
Mm-hmm.
speaks huge for the type of realtor
Yeah.
you are, right? And our email
Yeah.
drip campaigns, we
Mm-hmm.
want them very passive. We don't want aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to
Yeah.
do to people like when I walk into a car dealership right now and what I'm dealing with. We don't want to be like that. We want to be, hey, listen, Joe, I'm here when the time is right for you. Right? That's what makes a difference for me and my conversion compared to maybe what some other people have been doing in the past. Because I'm here. My go-to line is, no worry, Mary. I'm here when the time is right for you. Right? So, Sid, you're on the wait list for the coaching. Oh my gosh, with this coaching. Crystal, what I need is I need to invent Terra times 3. So I do have an agent in Alberta. We are working to try to relaunch the program. Listen, at the end of the day, Austin, I can see that you're on here. Can you type your email in is Austin able to chat? Yeah, he should be, right? Can you type your email in there for Sid? And Sid, Austin will forward that to me, no problem, and we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you. Thank you for your patience. Well, this has been good.
Yeah, we just had Sabrina about a session on only drip campaigns. We've had sessions in the past. We've tried doing it where it was, involvement from you guys, submitting things to help develop these drips. A lot of this stuff requires participation. And as much as some of us do participate, there's a lot of us that like to just take it all in. So I don't think we ever completed that, but you do, of course, have in your system already, Sabrina, those drips. So it's really about creating emails that really come from a place of, your heart and how you want to treat people, and building and developing that drip based on your values and what you want to offer to the leads in your system, right? So, and again, you can go through our training team if you're not sure on how to edit your drips to kind of goals that may already be assigned to your leads, or developing completely new campaigns.
Right.
That
I think the biggest thing for everybody to remember, when I started doing this 20 years ago, before Google Leads, this was when Realtor.ca first came. I always look at my approach in how I would answer somebody if the tables were turned. And really, when you're creating your own personal drip campaign, I think you can use the agent locator ones, or you can use them as a template. But just think to yourself, I've now registered on the site. I now have so-and-so reaching out to me who I don't know, right? Never heard of them before, probably. Let's be real, right?
Yeah.
What would I respond to? Always think that way. And start with email 1. That's all I do when it comes to my drip campaign. They're entered the site. What would I respond to if the tables were turned? That's my first email. Short and sweet, right? Yeah. We don't want to book. We don't want to book, right? No. We'll lose them, right? Then email 2. Okay, now they've been getting listings from me for a couple of weeks. What would I want to hear from somebody who's touching base with me?
Yeah.
Now I've just given you a line, Sabrina. Base from Sabrina. How's your home search coming along? Are you seeing homes of interest? Is there anything I can do? Can I revise your search? That's it, right? So think along those ways. It's not as hard as you think if you just put yourselves in their shoes, right? Now, what I did almost a year ago now, when our TRESA Act was changing here in Ontario, now I knew it was time to kind of incorporate into the drip campaign, what are some of the changes that maybe buyers are going to need to be aware of, and sellers. So there's lots of little things you can add, but just get the basics done. There. Bada boom, bada bang.
Perfect. Bada boom, bada bang.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. No, thank you, Tara. Thank you, everyone, for jumping in, and those who participated. Yeah, any ideas of conversation or discussion topics, by all means, send them over. We do these webinars for you guys, right? So we really want you to benefit the most from, whatever it is, the discussion points that we're reviewing on these sessions. So
Yeah. Yeah, we love to hear from you. So
Mhm.
what I've been doing, just because there is only one Tara, Crystal and I get together the last Tuesday of
Mhm.
every month. So you guys tell everybody to join us. The more the merrier for sure. But
Yes.
think about some questions that you have. What I love as well, Crystal, for a
Mhm.
lot is if you're experiencing something with one of your leads, bring it into the group, because
Mhm.
together it's not just me. It's
Yes,
all of us together that can conquer
exactly.
whatever objections that you're facing. Even
Mhm.
I have sometimes a buyer will come at me with something and I'll be like, ooh, let me take a
Ooh.
second to
Yeah,
deal with this.
exactly.
Yeah,
Our
and then
brains work better collectively, right? So,
I agree. I agree. And I
mhm.
appreciate all of you so much. It's nice to see the names, some of our
Yes,
standard names here. It makes me feel happy.
there you go.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Till next time.
Bye,
Enjoy
guys.
your next month, everyone.
Yes.
All
Happy
right.
selling. Go sell a
I
house.
know. Go sell a house.
All right.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye.